What if optimizing your metabolism was the key to unlocking your best life? Welcome to the Life Possible podcast, where we bring you cutting-edge insights, real-life transformations, and powerful strategies to help you win the fight against obesity and metabolic disease. Join host Dr. John Barnes as he explores the science and stories of transformational metabolic health, because when you fuel your body right, you unlock your greatest potential. From leading experts in nutrition and wellness to inspiring success stories, this is your go-to resource for education, motivation, and empowerment on your journey to a healthier, more vibrant life. Your best life isn't just possible, it's within reach. Let's make it happen together. Here's your host, Dr. John Barnes.
Hey, Ideal Protein Nation, how are you? Oh, I am so excited, as I always am. I feel like I get so excited for every one of my guests, but today is super special. So let's get to it. Real quick, let me just introduce myself for those of you that are new, because we're getting new viewers and listeners all the time. For those of you who are new, I'm your host, Dr. John Barnes. And the reason I'm doing this is because about 10 years ago, let's take a look. Yeah, there's no easy way to put it. I was fat, sick, and depressed. And I didn't see a way out. That was the worst part. Years of stress had driven me to overeating and over drinking, insulin resistance, obesity, and just downright ill health. And the worst part was I had no idea what had happened. And so I gave up. And I truly believe that God brought me the Ideal Protein Protocol and my guest today as an answer to so many of my prayers, both personally and professionally. And so now I'm on a mission to bring you the world's leading experts in low-carb and keto nutrition, metabolic health, and lifestyle optimization, as well as success stories from within the Ideal Protein community. So what are we going to do today? Well, I tell you what we're going to do today. Today, we are going to tackle something that so many of us struggle with every single year. How do we navigate the holidays without completely abandoning our health goals, right? We're going to talk about navigating the holidays with principles from something called bright line eating, and how learning some skills and having a plan can help you enjoy the season without the usual spiral of overindulgence and internal struggles. And who's going to do this with us? Well, I tell you what, this is my mentor, Dr. Dolores Zumbado. Dr. Zumbado opened her Ideal Protein Clinic all the way back in 2009. She's held many positions within the Ideal Protein Corporation as well. She's a certified life coach, and right now she holds the position of new partnership development within Ideal Protein, as she's bringing on new Ideal Protein clinics all the time. Let's bring her in. Let's just stop talking about her, John. Bring her on the show. Hey. How are you, Z? Great to see you.
So good. I'm so happy to be here. I love hearing that story. Starting out. I love it.
And you can remember back to those days, right? You answered the call, you came to my clinic, and there was this overweight, unhappy guy who was ready to throw in the towel on his practice and all the things. And you said, Doc, you need to do the program. And if you do the program right, you're going to want to have it in your office. And the rest is history.
Yeah, that is the way it works, I think, for everybody. So for me too.
Yeah. And hopefully for the people that you're talking to these days, as you're bringing on new clinics into the Ideal Protein fold.
Yes.
Yeah. So again, what a great topic. I got in touch with you and I said, hey, Z, I really want to have you on. Everybody loved you in the Ideal Protein live event that we had. That was super cool. Wasn't that on Facebook?
Oh my gosh. What attendance. That was almost a first foray back in with the group and being with everyone again. It was so super fun.
Yeah, I know that you got such energy from doing it, and people really responded very well to your messaging, which you have always great messaging. Today, I find that this messaging is super timely, super important. Every time that we get to November and December, In our clinic, we talk about, we have to look at these 2 months separately from the rest of the year, right? And we're constantly looking for new ways, new strategies to help our people make it through the holidays, with whatever goals that they may have. Sometimes it's to continue losing weight in phase one. Sometimes it's, hey, I just don't want to gain any new weight this year. And sometimes it's like, well, maybe 5 pounds is okay, but I don't want to come out of this thing fat, sick, and depressed again, right?
Yes, and you know what? It can be demoralizing to folks too, because you've worked hard all year, and I think they've said this. I don't know if this is true, so someone needs to fact check, but from Halloween to New Year's, the weight gain, right? It's like 8 to 10 pounds or something like that. And that is just not a great way to start a new year, especially after working so hard all year long.
Yeah. So I had you on the show, and I meant to look this up many, many episodes ago. And I know that we kind of talked a little bit about your personal story then, but let's just do a quick little refresher as far as your personal history and what even brought you into Ideal Protein in the first place.
Well, it's funny. I kind of put some notes out there for you, and I know a lot of people don't know all of this story, but I too, like so many others who've done Ideal Protein, I couldn't lose weight. I was, at the time, I was turning 47, and I had all the things, my mom had the high blood pressure and the type 2 diabetes. And, I lost my mom at 47 through complications of metabolic syndrome. And so, really on my radar. And I was working out, and I was doing all the things, and I have a degree in nutrition and biochemistry. And I'm like, why am I losing weight? Relate to that. But it was really even more than that. More than that, a lot of people don't know this, because like, if you could have been in my brain at that time, you would have thought, what a crazy person. Like, it was just a constant, what I'm going to eat, what am I not going to eat, how I'm going to handle that, what is she eating, what is he eating, how does she eat that? And not, it was just a constant, all this chatter in my head. And so I knew that I had to get a grip. And what Ideal Protein did for me was help me lose that weight once and for all. But one of the things was that I noticed, and I did this protocol in 2009. And I lost 30 pounds in 7 weeks, like so many people do. It's great. A lot of people do that. And, but what I noticed was, and pretty much maintaining it, because you do change how you eat. But most people think that being at a healthy weight, losing weight, is all about the diet that you choose. And there is no doubt that that's important. But equally important is, do you have the skills to manage how you think?
Yeah.
Right? Because most of us know how to eat.
Well, but you know what? When you talked about being in your head and how crazy it was, and it's everybody's head. Right?
I don't know about everybody, but mine is crazy in there.
See, it's everybody's head, and that's the problem, right? That's the thing. There are so many food. Actually, when I had Mel Stack on years ago, and one of the things I remember her talking about when she had just started as CEO at Ideal Protein was the number of food decisions that a person makes in a 24-hour period of time is something like 200. And that's what to eat, what not to eat, how to eat it, where to eat it, like all that.
Stop it.
And everybody is dealing with it. We're bombarded if we're watching TV, if we're listening to the radio, food ads, food ads, food ads. I have to say, I think that Uber Eats has a very clever campaign during football, and how they talk about, football is just a ploy to sell you more food. And they, like the Philadelphia Eagles was created to sell you buffalo wings. But it's true. It just seems like everything
is around food. And, what I began to realize, I think probably in about 2013, I was keeping the weight off pretty well. And then I had then I hit some tougher times in my life. And, tough times aren't just hard times, but it was also good times, right? I was
Yep.
in a
100%.
particularly happy time in my life. And so I was gaining what I call my happy weight, plus then hitting menopause. And so, or perimenopause and all those things. And we talked about that. And that's a whole nother podcast we'll have to talk about at some point.
Yeah.
But I began to really look into this mind thing. And so here's the deal, willpower is finite, and we can all white knuckle for a period of time, but we have to change fundamentally who we are. So for me, it wasn't a miraculous shift. The weight loss was miraculous, but when I began to regain the weight, and if people are listening and they've done phase 1, if they've done idle protein or any diet and gained weight, when you start to put weight back on, the amount of shame and all these things that we do to ourselves in our mind, what I can tell you is none of that works. We cannot beat ourselves into making this lifestyle change. But what I will tell you is that, just like phase 1, when we started talking about it, John, and when I start talking to you and to your clients back or patients back in the day, we used science to talk about how the body loses weight. Well, there is some science that goes into the brain and how we think and how we, the decisions that we make and the habits that we form, and we can tap into that science and utilize and learn the skills. Because there is a skill to this. That's the good news. Because you know what?
Wow.
You can learn the skill.
Yeah.
It's like tennis, or pickleball if you're doing that. I'm playing pickleball these days. But tennis, you don't get it the first time, but it is a skill. You take the lesson, you work at it. And so, I am really excited to talk about this topic because this part, idle protein, changed my life from the standpoint of now I know what to eat and I know why I'm eating that way. Now I have become a different person who is the kind of person who applies what I know, and I do it on a regular basis. And so I want to
isn't that the key? It's the gap. We don't need to know more, right? We know enough, but we need to know why we're not applying it at times, right?
Yeah.
And it's that gap between knowing what to do and actually doing that.
Right.
And doing it long term, right? And I love this. We're going to dive in, but I love this concept of fundamentally changing who we are.
Yes.
So yeah, let's do this. Okay. We're going to start with the basics, but what exactly is, if you could describe for us, what is anchor point? What is an anchor point framework that we're going to be working from?
So, but before we, so I'm calling this an anchor point framework because, it's based on Bright Line Eating by Dr. Susan Pierce Thompson. She is a PhD in neuroscience, and she is the OG, folks. And if you like anything that I'm going to say, I really recommend looking her up. She's got programs that she does, but she really talks about the neuroscience of, addiction, brain, food addiction is like all kinds of other addictions. But they have studied the decision making, willpower, and habit formation. And so this anchor point framework is based on her bright line system. So what is a bright line? Yeah. A bright line is a legal term for like a line in the sand. It's like, this is what we're going to do. And the reason I built upon that, and we'll get into it more, but the reason I call it an anchor point system is if you think about a boat, a ship on the water, and if you've got one anchor and the water gets rough, you can drift, right? And so the more anchors that boat has when the sea gets rough, the more stable the boat will be. And so the way I think about navigating the holidays, and here's the deal, I think that the holidays is a perfect opportunity to practice your lifelong skills and, practice for maintenance. For those of you who are on phase 1, you're going to be able to use these anchor points. Those of you who are in maintenance, those of you who have no plan at all, you especially want to use these. But having anchors, and there's 5 anchor points that we're going to talk about today, help you to become more stable in this crazy current of food and all the food opportunities that we have and the choices that we have to make and the people that are pushing us to eat. So the anchor point system or framework is a way that you define how you're going to eat. And the goal with this is actually the structure gives you more freedom. That's weird.
Fascinating.
Right? Isn't that weird?
No, you know what? And it's so funny though, especially when people are coming out of phase 1, right? Like what's their number one fear? What's the number one? And it's letting go of that anchor of the structure.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. That's why it worked.
And that's the thing is, and I had a client in today, she's having the hardest time and she's, I'm just going to go back to phase 1. And I'm like, okay, but we can develop structure. People want structure and they just don't understand that.
Yeah. And, like too, the thing about, the structure is, I think about, like, for me, I've always been an entrepreneur, a serial entrepreneur, different businesses. I really enjoy it. And I know that a lot of people, when you're your own boss, I know a lot of people go into it because they want to have the freedom and they want to work when they want to work. And what I found when I became an entrepreneur is that I actually needed more structure to give myself more freedom, because otherwise I was either working all the time or not working. And so I had clearly defined, this is what I'm working, this is what I'm doing. And during this time, I'm not doing other things, I'm doing this. And this is very similar to this, what we're going to talk about eating and having a plan for the holidays. And, if you guys do this right, and if you really take this on, what you'll find is that this could be the time that you make that change, because all of you know what, I'm assuming most people listening are aware of the low carb lifestyle at the very least, or ideal protein, and we know what to do. But this is the way that you make that leap to, not struggling with it anymore.
Well, yeah, but isn't it okay, like, just to go through the holidays and have everything in moderation and, have a little bit here, have a little bit there. Can't we just make it through doing that and not really come out the other end in a bad shape?
Yeah, we call those fuzzy guidelines. And this is something that Susan Pierce Thompson talks about. She says that basically that is the problem. That is that everything in moderation. And what we want to do is develop rules for what we're going to eat. And it may be, for example, I eat 2 meals a day. I eat 3 meals a day. I eat only while I'm sitting down. I have these rules. I personally have these rules that I eat, 3 meals a day. I always eat protein and protein and vegetables, and I don't eat standing up. Think of how many things that eliminates. I never eat standing up. I don't eat at a party. I don't eat at Costco, right? It just eliminates because this is my rule, right? I also don't snack. I eat and I don't eat. And so if someone offers me a cookie at 3, there's no decision there. I don't eat that. I don't eat at this time. I'm fine. I wait till I'm eating in an hour, right?
Yeah.
The idea with this is to develop your own guidelines and your own rules for what you're going to have, when you're going to have it, how often you're going to have it. And it does, gives more freedom.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, what are you doing? You're thinking, how come you not eat that? What is he eating? Maybe, that looks good, I'm going to have that. But if we go into every event with the rule, and this is, and in the beginning, first of all, you're going to decide the rules. And in the beginning, it's going to be a process. But as you do this, it becomes who you are. And that's the thing that, Susan Pierce Thompson calls automaticity, is that the more you do this, the more automatic it gets and the less you really have to plan it.
Okay. So let's talk about anchor points versus moderation,
Okay.
right? How do anchor points, or what anchor points should we start to focus on as we're thinking about this?
Okay. So let's talk about what the anchor points are. And so we're kind of a little going out of order here, but I think it's important to say it here, is there are 5 anchor points that, for those of you who choose to do this, and I hope it's everyone on this call, because you can even do part of it. You don't have to do all of it. But the first one is the pre-decision principle. You have to pre-decide anything that you're going to eat, right? So most of us in the moment, when you're at the party and and the drinks are flowing and the things are happening, we don't make the best decisions in that moment. So the idea with pre-decision is make the decision before you go. And I always tell my clients, I don't care what you're going to have. If there's a piece of cake on your plan, then you're going to have the piece of cake. You're going to sit down while you eat it, enjoy it. And by the way, you're not going to feel bad while you're eating it, because it's part of your plan. And in fact, you're going to be saying, good job, Z, you're eating what you predetermined, right? So there's a lot of decisions we can make there. The second one is a social boundary protocol. This is probably the number one reason during the holidays that we get hung up, is we do this peace eating, right? Like, Aunt Mary made me the thing, and she made those cookies and she made them just for me, and so I had to have them. Well, we know those things are coming up, so we need to have a plan for how we're going to handle the social boundaries. The next is event planning, like what's happening at this event and what's important about this event, right? Does it have to be the food always that's important? If we really think about the holidays, what's really important? It's sharing time, being with others. Then we're going to talk a little bit later about a 4th anchor point, which is the recovery method. If you make a mistake, how do you recover?
Okay.
That's important. So how do you get back on track? And then, community connection and support. So your 5 anchor points are pre-deciding, setting your boundaries socially, have a plan for your event, get recovery, and have an accountability like your coach or somebody that you're working with.
These things, as you say them, they seem like they're self-evident, right? But they're so spot on. And we coach these things seemingly independently, but as a structured group, I think it's amazing to have this. And yes, I think the holidays are the pinnacle as far as all of this, and a great time to learn it, because you can use this all throughout the year, right?
Oh, and life. Yes.
Yeah.
And this is one of those things that, and this is some of the pushback that sometimes I hear, is people will say, this is too restrictive, right? The holidays will be miserable if I do it that way. And what I want to challenge you on is that if you shift the mindset, then, it's actually giving you more freedom, not less. So we'll get into specifics on that. But, most people
absolutely
and follow them are enjoying the holidays more, because it's not, on our deathbed, we're not going to be, gee, I wish I had a few more holiday cookies. It's really not. Right?
Right. No, that's not absolutely. I love that. This whole concept of the pre-decision principle, we just start, talking about Thanksgiving with people. And when I say, well, we learned, and I think you might have taught us this, we have a planned, we usually have a planned deviation, we call it, for those people who are in phase 1, losing weight through November. We say, look, on Thanksgiving, if there's something that, what, Doc, I'm not going to think I even had Thanksgiving if I don't have some of Dolores' stuffing, right? She only makes it once a year. It's the most amazing stuff you've ever had. And I say, okay, then we're going to write that down. And we're going to say, I'm having some of Dolores's stuffing. And if you stick to your pre-planned deviation, it's a win. It's not a loss. And you don't have to feel guilty while you're enjoying that.
Yes, exactly. But here is the key on this, because we don't want to have fuzzy guidelines.
Mm-hmm.
It's really got to be, I'm going to have, this is my plate. I'm going to have mostly vegetables and turkey, and I'm going to have 1 serving, 2 servings, 5 servings of the stuffing, whatever you want. I don't care what the number is, but it's got to be, did I do that or did I do more?
Clearly defined.
Right? Clearly defined. And, that is really the key with this. And so as coaches, I think, sometimes it's wine. Someone will say, I want a glass of wine with things. I'm really good. I can do the turkey and I can do the vegetables. I don't care about all the other things, but I really do want the glass of wine. And then we got to be with them and say, okay, a glass of wine, or do you want 2 glasses of wine, or do you want, like, whatever it is, we want to really make sure that they go in, that they have it. And as I was saying before, you feel good and congratulate yourself that you're sticking to your plan.
Right. Absolutely. Okay. So where do we go from here? These are the 5 anchors that we're gonna talk about.
Okay. And I think like a good place to go or talk about is really the neuroscience behind why we want to do this.
Yep. And especially during the holidays.
Yeah. Right. And so first of all, one of our, I'm going to encourage this, because I think especially this audience on this podcast, that everyone knows, is that obviously we need to really have a very clear anchor on how much sugar that we're going to have. Now, Dr. Susan Price Thompson recommends having a very strong line in the sand that says you're going to avoid sugar and flour, right? And so think of all the things. That's going to be all the sweet things. It's going to be the bread, the pasta, right? You can, so that's her thing. And the reason for that is that we know when we eat certain things neurologically, what happens to our brain. We know that certain areas of the brain with sugar get stimulated in the same way drugs stimulate the brain, right? We
Absolutely.
get that dopamine kick, and so it's very pleasurable. And so it really makes it hard when we get under that influence to follow anything else. So our first bright line, or our first anchor point, is really keeping our carbs really low, unless it's pre-decided, as we just talked about. I try to go to a party and say, for me, I just stay away from anything sweet. I just don't. I was a cookie-aholic. I was really just a sugar carby Barbie.
Yep.
I mean, just stop eating that. And so for me, part of that was just stopping it. And with certain things, which in Brightline that you hear, is there's certain things that you're like potatoes, I have to really be careful with. I just know that if I have those, not everybody's that way though, right? So I've gotten to the point where sugar doesn't do it for me. Cookies are not a thing, but now the potato is like another thing. All right. So that's the first piece. The next thing is that we know that food is literally everywhere during this time. So when we're making the decisions, we get that thing called decision fatigue. So we want to eliminate the decision fatigue. And then thirdly, during this time, we know that there's all this emotional overlay. Susie's making this for me. So, having these lines in the sand of what you're going to eat when you get to the party and people are pushing you to eat, it's like, no, I've already eaten. No, I'm not having that. Oh, thank you. I'm full. No, I'm happy with this. Just having your pre-decided things that you're going to have. Okay.
So again, setting clear boundaries, setting them ahead of time, and doing this event by event.
Yes. Yeah. And really, but, on the daily, I really do think you guys we have to start thinking, I'm working with a lot of people who are either doing phase 1, or there's
Mhm.
quite a few people now doing the GLP-1 medications, and they're not even hungry, right? And
Yep.
a lot of the times, but you'll hear them coming in saying, well, I have to eat, or it's this time of the day and I have to eat. And
Mhm.
really, what I want people to do, and what I've worked with clients on, is saying, what is your rule about what you eat and when you eat in a day? So it's not just at these events, those are special occasions, but every day, how do you eat? And John, did you go to Catholic school or anything? Did you ever have to
I
wear a uniform?
did. How did you know? Yep,
Yeah, so
I
you had
did.
to wear a uniform. So I was talking to one of my patients one day, and she was talking about this uniform. She really gave this idea to me, and I talk to people about this all the time. When it comes to eating, when you're losing weight or if you're on these medications, you have got to figure out what your uniform is, right? Think about when you wear a uniform to school. You get up in the morning, what do? You put on the uniform. There's no decision
Yeah,
there what you're having. There's no drama. It's so important if you have girls, especially. Um,
right.
so when it comes to eating, you want to determine what is your uniform for eating, right? Every day I have a certain thing for breakfast, I have certain things for lunch, and I have certain things, I have a very light dinner. I usually have my main meal at 3, and I eat
Uh-huh.
something, maybe at 6. And so what that does for me is that it makes my eating automatic. So
Yeah.
yes, we want to do these at events, but we also want to do it on the daily. And why is that important? If you think about this, this is how I eat, whether I'm here, whether I'm on a trip, whether I'm on a cruise, I eat the same way, right? So I don't go on a cruise, just like, I brush my teeth too every
Right.
day, and I
Yep.
floss. Those things are automatic. So, what we need to be able to do with learning to eat this way is to figure out what our uniform is for eating. So, it's not just the special event, but it is really how important, every
Yeah.
single day. When do you eat? How do you eat? And how much do you eat? And how do you stop?
So yeah, and I kind of feel like that gets back to that whole concept of decisions that you have to make in a day, right? Because we have to make decisions about so many different things in a day. And the food decisions might be 200 in and of themselves, but then you've also got to figure out what you're going to wear, where you're going to go, who you're going to talk, like all those other things, right? And talk to me about the concept of decision making capacity as being a limited resource.
Yeah, well, it's the anterior cingulate gyrus. Do you remember that from school?
Well, yeah, I do.
Oh,
I can actually I can hear my neuroanatomy professor because he had a very distinct accent. Cingulate gyrus.
yeah.
Yes.
Well,
I
you're
can
better.
see it. It has
I heard that and had to look it up, but because I didn't remember. But this is where this poor little guy gets crunched all day long. Literally, think of all the decisions you make, and then you throw in food. And think about it too. Most of us start the day, we have this great energy, and you know, what kind of when by the end of the day, when you're tired,
Yep.
what kind of decisions do you make for your health? Not good.
Right.
You're like, you were
Right.
planning to work out, but now you're not really, I'm too tired to work out. So, the idea is by having a set plan of what we eat, we don't have to make a decision about it. It's done. Now, the
Yeah.
key thing is the next thing, which is how are you going to handle that second anchor, which is, well, can't you just have one bite? Or, right? That social
Yes.
pressure to eat.
Let's talk about this. The social pressures, the peer pressure, it drives me absolutely bananas. And during the holidays, it ramps itself up. So I feel like this is something that our clients deal with all the time, but during the holidays, it's even worse. So
Yeah.
talk to me about how do we handle our friends and our family telling us, oh, of course you can have just one of these. Oh, come on, you can eat this with me, or you can drink this with me.
Yeah. And like I think you said it earlier, this is probably 90% of the reason we end up falling off our plan or drifting off our anchor point. So the first thing is to decide yourself, and I'd say, John, what do you want for this holiday season? Do you want to keep losing? Do you want to just stay where you are, don't gain or lose? Or do you only want to gain 5 pounds for this whole season? Right? So you would ask that to yourself. What is really my goal and why does that matter to me? So first, get right with yourself. The biggest thing is, like, kind of never should we ever just say, I'm just going to go for it. That'd be just like saying, I'm just not going to brush my teeth this month.
Yeah, right.
Right? No, because this is who we are and this is how we eat. So the first thing we do is get it right with ourselves. What is it that we want? And I know for me this year, I've worked really hard and I don't want to blow it. I'm in a good place and I just want to stay where I am. I don't need to keep losing, but I don't want to be in January having the regret. I don't want to be feeling like a tick, feeling like, oh, why'd I eat that? Why'd I do that? All that mental beating myself up, not doing it. So the very first thing we can do, and which I really recommend, is to really have it. All of this is about preparation. And part of that preparation is try to communicate your boundaries up front, right? So, Mom, I'm coming home. So excited to be with you. Just letting you know, I've been working on some things myself health-wise this year, and I'm just going to letting you know now, those cookies you always make for me, I'm not going to eat them. Love you for thinking, but no, it's really okay. Make them for everyone else. Just don't be upset if I don't have them. I know that's stuffing. I may have a little bit of that, but I'm not, I'm just not going to do it. So you know. And, with that too, I mean, sometimes you might even have to say, I have what if you had a health challenge, right? I wouldn't be able to, right? So, I like the idea of being very honest and saying, look, I'm in a place, what I'm learning this year is I can't eat those kinds of things and it makes me feel bad and I don't want to feel bad. Right, Mom?
That's bingo.
Right?
Yes.
So
I always talk about that with people.
Yeah. I mean,
put it into the realm,
put
it into the realm of your health. Put it into the realm of, I've been working on my health. I've been addressing some issues. I find my body doesn't handle that stuff well. And I feel really bad when I eat it. Oh gosh, I love them. I wish I could, and it's no reflection on you. Right.
Yeah, right. And don't be people who eat to appease others. That's just awful. Right? It's just terrible. So, then really that's the first piece. And then really, what it's all about now is then when you're at the event, I'm coming home, here's what I'm going to eat. These are Dolores's rules. No matter where I am, I eat sitting down. I start every day with a protein. I don't eat between meals. It's who I am. And it's almost like I talk to people about this. It's like, you've got to teach people how to treat you. That's true in so many ways.
Whoa.
Right? But I got to teach people how to treat me around food. And I got, that can backfire too, John, sometimes, because sometimes you'd be like, yeah, maybe I'd like that piece of cake. And then, so your mom says, you're not going to eat this cake, so I'm not even going to offer it to you.
Right?
So it can kind of backfire, but you know what? And I want you to think about when you're doing things like, and we can talk about specifics when someone's pushing the cookies, what do you say? No, thank you. Just smile.
Oh,
no,
yeah.
I don't eat that. Those kind of food, it doesn't make me feel good. I mean, right. And there's tiers and levels of that.
Yeah, which we're gonna walk through.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, we're gonna walk through that. But let's set the stage for that too, because again, you've got some points that you've laid out for us, and one of them is, you touched on it with Mom and the cookies, is that for some people, for many people, especially moms, food equals love.
Yes.
Right. And you don't want to hurt their feelings, and you don't want to, turn away that love. But I think if you prepare them ahead of time, like you just talked about, just say, look, you know what, I love them. I know you love me, and I know that's one of the ways you show that. But man, I can't do it this year. I'm really in a good place, and yeah.
Yeah, I've never had anyone say no to that. But then it's like,
Wow.
can you have this? Can you have that? Like,
Yeah, well, that's the thing, because now they want to try to figure out, right? Well, you know what? Brussels sprouts mean love to me now. So if you can make,
yeah,
right?
I know. Yeah,
Do
and
something
put some
like
bacon
that.
in there. Yeah. um,
But these other things I really want to hit home with, and it's probably going to lead us into kind of the role play. But your boundaries can make other people feel uncomfortable about their choices.
yeah, I think, you know what? I think what's really important, John, is when you're going into these situations, we think it's all about the love and they're going to be upset if I don't eat it. And what I think it's important to know is that many times the psychology behind it is not what you think, right? My boundaries can make other people feel uncomfortable about their own choices, right? It's
Hmm.
kind of like misery loves company. We're all in it together. So, that's more about them, not about me. And
Yes.
right? Do I need to make them kind of like feel better about the way they're eating? I don't see that as my job.
And this is huge, right? This happens not just at the holidays. This happens all the time. And I
Everywhere.
just had to coach somebody through this. Part of the challenge I find is that people just don't. They want to try to not tell everybody that they're doing a program, right? Hey,
Right.
I'd rather just not. I'd like to kind of make it through without saying anything, right? And I think that brings this type of confrontation out, this type of issue out even more so in their social circles. Because
Yeah.
if they can't actually define it, if they can't give people a straight answer, it
Yeah.
almost makes it harder on you.
Yeah. Um, I mean, I'm conflicted about that a little bit because sometimes it's when my first the first Thanksgiving that when I was pretty much, I was either on the protocol or just finishing or something.
Yeah.
And it was really easy to say to people, you know what, John, I'm on a medically restricted diet and right now I can't have
Nice.
that. That was
Yeah.
really easy to say because they don't know what it is. I mean, finally, my sister was a big, she's listening, but she just was like, you have to try this
Right, right, right.
waffle thing with all this stuff. And I'm like, no, I'm really okay. I want to try that. Nope, don't really want to. And like, no, really pushing because some people really do push. And these are people you love. And then finally I said, are you trying to kill me? I have diabetes. Like,
Right. There it is.
I know. So so there
But
is
see,
that.
But see,
Yeah.
you had that, right? Like you had that diagnosis. You had that was one of your main motivators for doing the program and for taking care of your metabolic health was you were right there. And so you have that to be able to say to people, right?
Yeah.
And for our people that aren't quite at that stage,
Yeah.
I'm on a medical protocol, and you can just leave it there. Look, I'm on this medical eating program. I'm dealing with some issues right now, and I'm feeling so much better.
Yeah, and I wanna keep feeling that way.
Yeah.
And then, so that's kind of a bridge, right? Like, and then where I want people to get to eventually is I just don't eat that.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
I don't eat that. And, I don't know if that's snarky or whatever. It's just I know that when I eat things like that, it makes me feel bad. And I don't have to tell them how I feel bad. Like my face puffs up when I have bread. I'm like the next day I look like, oh my gosh, I look ancient. So I just don't like that. So I don't eat that. Right. And so,
Yep.
but I want people to hear this when you begin to say things like, yeah, I just don't eat that. Or no, I don't eat between meals. No, I only eat at these times of the day. That then they're like, huh, okay. they stop asking. And I want
Mm.
people, I feel okay about that, because I feel like for my daughter, for the people in my life that I want to set an example for, I'm not snobby about it. I'm just, but this is just who I am, and this is how I eat. And,
Yeah.
I think we got to talk about a little bit how you deliver it, not
Yep.
being snarky,
Yep.
or defensive, or,
Well, because I think you get pushed to a point where you are just going to let something, right? You're just going to be really snarky about it. Or like me, and you're going to graphically tell them what happens to you in the bathroom after you enjoy those things, which that's because no, I don't want to. No, thanks, John. I don't need, and they stop asking me about
no, I know, right? Like, if people are lactose intolerant, you don't
it.
put that on them.
Right, right. But there's also, and the third one that I did want to talk about, and then we'll do some role playing. We'll talk about specific languaging. But misery loves company, right? And I literally said this last night. I said, look, what you have to understand is that misery loves company, and they don't want anybody to get out of there to improve themselves. They hate seeing people get away from that. And so consciously or subconsciously, and we have to give them the benefit of the doubt, but they might say things subconsciously, not even thinking, to draw you back in, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And then, there's, I think, and some people are really not okay with you
Getting
losing,
better.
being happier, looking better, fitting in your clothes. That's a hard thing for some people. And it's surprising who that might come from. And so that's just one of those things, I think, going into this, to be aware of. And, I have when in the summertime, when everyone's traveling, I work with clients on who's going to be on this trip. What does it mean to you? What's important to you in this trip? What are the important meals that you really want to enjoy? But who's going to be there? And are they going to be neutral? Are they going to be supportive? Are they going to
Ooh.
be,
Yeah.
because you know what? You kind of know that.
Right. Oh, 100%.
Don't you think?
100%. You know who they are. For
Yeah.
sure.
And
But
so
I'm
go
going to
ahead.
throw I'm going to throw a Zism out there, because you said this and I've used this over the years, right? Just because they're in your circle doesn't mean they're in your corner, right?
Yeah.
Do you remember
Exactly.
that
I
one?
know that I said that. I wish
Yes,
I
I
said
got that
that.
from you. It might even
Oh
be
God.
from
I
the
don't
last
know.
show,
You might have
because
gotten
you
that
did.
too good.
Well, because you did this whole series on just this, right? On your circle and how to get them on board with what you're doing, because those are things that people deal with as they get into phase one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think, and which is one of those, we'll get, I guess we should, why don't we go into
Yeah,
the
let's do it.
of that, and then, because I think it's going to come back to how you just really, sometimes you need to, you state it and then you flip it. So we'll kind of.
So yeah, I guess you've kind of got them layered
Yeah.
into, how pushy the pusher is, right? So
Yeah.
kind of what you like to call a brief and breezy,
Yes.
way to handle things. When I
Yeah.
say,
That's
"Oh,
just,
have you had one of these cookies yet, Z?" My wife
oh,
made them, and my
oh,
family loves
oh my gosh, they look delicious. I'm good. Thanks. Have
them.
that smile.
Right? No. Like, you gotta have one, because you've never had this kind of cookie.
Oh, I know. And you know what? I just don't do well with those kinds of things. So I'm really good. Thanks.
Okay, I like that.
A smile.
Are
And
you
but
sure you don't want one of those cookies, Z? Because
yeah,
you really haven't had anything all night.
yeah, I'm really good. Maybe later.
Okay,
Maybe
love
later.
it.
I'm good now. Yeah. And that I just kind of like that repeating. But here's what's really important with that is that your smile, um,
Yeah.
if you're saying, okay, no, yeah, are you sure? Well, I'm really not. I'm sorry. Can't, right? If we apologize
It's true.
things, which we do, especially women, I'm really working on it myself. Stop saying you're sorry all the time, right?
Yeah.
Because we do. And
Well,
so
again,
that,
because you're
that,
worried
that
about hurting feelings,
yes,
right?
and it's like a chink in the armor, right? And
Yeah.
food is love. So people
Right.
are going to go for that. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
I've already eaten is another thing you can say there.
It's a great one.
Yeah. Okay. Then,
All
okay.
right.
Persistently.
So wow, look at your plate. Like you don't have any of the pasta and you also don't have any of the potatoes. What's going on with that?
You know what? I just really do better eating this way. When I eat pasta, it just doesn't agree with me. So, but this is delicious. Who made the vegetables?
Love it. I love that.
Hmm.
Yeah. All
And
right.
yeah, and then kind of sometimes too, um, you know, I almost like, and for those of I wish we could poll people to hear what people think, but sometimes when someone pushes, like they get in there and push it, almost makes me more convicted that I'm not going to have it, right?
Right.
So
Right.
let that happen to you, and I think it's okay to say when someone's really being pushy, depending on who it is, I suppose. But I'd rather not discuss food choices with you right now. It's just not good.
Oh. Oh.
Like, that
That
shuts them up. What are they gonna say after that? I mean, that's a
I was
little
gonna
in your face,
say.
but
Yeah. No, I love that. I love that. Yeah, and you've got an even more powerful one here too. I love you, but I need you to respect this boundary.
yeah. Yeah. And that's what you say to your sister who you love,
Right. Right.
who's
Right. Right.
waffles at you.
Yeah.
'Cause
Yeah.
a lot of these come from conversations that I have had through the years. But the really cool thing is the more you do these, you're teaching people. So the next time you're around them, you have to do that probably once where I need you to respect this boundary. I mean, I love
Well,
you.
and that is kind of the point, right? Especially if they're in your social circle or if you're there in your family and you're constantly fielding these things, right?
Yeah. Right.
At some point for your own sanity, you have to just say something as powerful as that, right?
Yeah. And that's not rude. I don't think that's rude. I mean,
No, it's not. And you know what? I got to tell you, I'm going to get your sister off the hook. I did this to my sister. So back in that first picture, Christmas, and it was that Christmas of 2014 was my pinnacle of just fat, sick, depressed, and trying to be the funny fat guy all the time, trying to pretend like it didn't bother me. And my sister had gone through a dramatic weight loss that year. She still hasn't told me what she did, but she went through a dramatic weight loss that year, and she was very excited about, herself and where she was. And it was Christmas, and we have a great time at our house. I have a bar in my basement. I enjoy being the bartender, and she's very funny when she has a couple glasses of wine. And so I brought her glass of wine, and she's like, "Oh no, I'm not going to drink this year." I'm like, "Oh, come on. Surely you can have one." Right? No, no, no. It's part of, I'm not going to do that this year, what have you. And so I slunk back and it just ate at me. Who does she think she is? She's going to have a glass of wine. Darn it. Like that. You can do that once on a holiday. And it drove me wild. And so I was a jerk. I was an
well,
absolute jerk.
yeah. What do you think would have worked for you?
If she'd have had a glass of wine,
Oh,
I would have stopped. I would
no,
have
it was
stopped.
not
Right?
gonna
But
stop.
no,
Yeah.
but
If she would
literally,
have said, okay.
if she'd have put it into the medical realm and said, "You know what? I'm on this medical program and I can't do that right now," I would have been like, "Oh, absolutely. I'm so
Yeah,
sorry. What can you have?
that's people
What
up.
can you have?" Yeah.
Yeah.
But so what's really funny is
Mhm.
it didn't register as much what I had done. And a
Mhm.
year later, I'm coaching somebody through a situation like this. And that memory came back. And
Mm.
I could see myself in the moment so angry that she wouldn't do that. I called her up. I said, "Oh my God, Jennifer, I'm so sorry. I did this to you last year." But she's like, "What are you talking about?" And I hope, luckily it didn't have a lasting impression. But
Right.
still, I felt horrible because I
Yeah.
realized, oh my God, she was sticking to her guns. She was doing this. It couldn't have been easy. And I was being an
Yeah.
A-double-S.
Yeah. And I think that's kind of to the next point that, we were gonna talk about, kind of the redirect or just
Yeah.
avoiding certain people in situations like that, rather than, it sounds like your sister did fine with it. So I don't know
She
what.
did. She
Yeah,
killed
well,
it
yeah, that
for
she
herself.
maybe just said, okay, that's him. This is me. This is what I want. And,
Yeah.
like I've done a lot with different people. My grandmother, we're Hispanic. And so food is love. And she just was a pusher and she would not, and just, let it go. You have to, and it would just, I'd have to just avoid, or say no, thank you, and redirect. So, it might look like, no, thanks, I'm really good. Maybe later. Hey, what time's the game at such and such? Like redirect, get into
Yeah.
another conversation immediately. And
Yeah.
but the biggest thing with all of these is, this is about you. These are your lines in the sand that you are not going to cross. And I mean, it does work and it gets easier, but you're
Yeah.
going into all of these situations in advance, knowing that this could happen. Don't wait for it to happen. Expect it to happen. Think about, who are
Right.
the people at this party? Mom's going to want me to have that. My sister's going to want me to have the waffles. And you know what? That's about her. I just don't eat sweets. That's another thing. I don't eat sweets.
Yeah.
There's another thing you can say. Just don't.
So I want to talk about this a little bit. I want to talk about what not to do.
Yeah.
Talking about deprivation versus liberation, and how we actually get ourselves in that mindset that this isn't deprivation, like
Yeah.
everybody thinks that it is.
Good. Exactly. And a lot of, I hate that when I hear people do it. Well, I can't have that. I can't, oh, my diet is this. And so I can't have that. We think, oh, I'm missing out. This is unfair. These are the thoughts that we have. And, one of the things that that we've got to just absolutely get to, and if you're not quite there and you don't believe it, say it anyway, is, I don't eat sweets, right? That's just one of those things. Rather than saying I can't eat sweets, I mean, I could say that I'm a diabetic, or I could say I don't feel good when I eat that, or, I've got this thing going on. You can say all of those things. But what I want people to finally do is, and every time I say something like that and someone believes me, even, it's like a little vote for myself that I don't eat sweets. I don't do that. And I'll just tell you now, I just don't eat sweets.
Yeah.
I loved them before, but I've been doing this for so long that and my daughter will tell I got like somebody brought candy, gave me a gift. She goes, Mom, does that person know you? I'm like,
Right.
I'm not going to eat this. This is going to, and here's how bad it is. I won't even give candy to someone else.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if you give me candy, it goes in the trash because I don't even
You can't even give it away.
can't even give it away. No, that's how it got to. But it didn't start like that. I was just, but the more we do these things, this comes down to the lifestyle change. I didn't change my lifestyle. I became a person who eats this way. And
Oh.
yeah, okay. Can I say that again? Because that is really,
Yeah, please do. Please do.
all of this. I know this is, maybe you're there thinking, there's no way I'm going to do that and have a list and I'm not going to make these rules. But if you have ever struggled in your life where you've lost weight, regained it, and it seems elusive, you're missing this part. You're missing the footwork, the groundwork, those anchor points that, I'm not saying you're not going to make mistakes with this. And we do need to talk about that too.
Yep. We'll wrap things up with that.
Okay. But if you do this work, you will become a different person. because you'll be talking in a way, you'll be communicating in a way, and people are going to be relating to you in a way. Wow, yeah, she doesn't eat that. So when she comes over next time, maybe I'll have some bread, but I better have some vegetables. Dolores is coming,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Right. And there's nothing wrong
And,
with that.
right. And you know what? Vegetarians do that all the time, right? They don't eat
Right.
meat. So, if I got a vegetarian coming over, I would say any food concerns, like
Yeah.
oh, vegetarian, okay. Then I know I got to have salad and I got to have certain things. And so
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
we're teaching people how to treat us by doing this work. And this is the perfect time to do it. The holidays, perfect time to practice. And like I said, maybe you're not picking all of these things, but maybe you can pick a few of these things to try.
Right. Right. Absolutely. Can you, I want you to speak to a couple of the things that are in our notes, in our show notes here.
Okay.
The concept of, well, everyone else gets to eat whatever they want.
Yeah.
Right.
FOMO, right? Yeah. And that, here's the thing I say to myself about that. And this is just really, that there's two things there. Is one is, first of all, we don't know if people are eating everything they want, but here is the thing for me. If I eat those things, it leads to this and this and this. And what evidence do I have that I can eat that and that I'm going to be okay? What is the evidence that I can be spontaneous and just eat that thing? The evidence, there is no evidence that says, or back in the day, that I could have just one and stop. It just wasn't.
Yeah.
And so some people can't walk, right? I can't eat those things. Does that make sense? Like, like if someone has a disability and they can't, walk or they can't see, I mean, everybody has a thing. Mine is this food thing, and I can't eat those kinds of foods because it's not good for me. And I'm not happy with myself if I'm a certain way. I'm like all that stuff that goes on in my head. I can't stand it. And so, right. So, so I focus on what can I have, and am I enjoying this?
And that comes from, again, just having that deprivation, that mindset of deprivation, right? And so if we're talking about a mindset of liberation, if we're talking about an empowering mindset, and I love, you start off with, I don't eat that. That is very empowering. It's an identity. It's not a restriction, right? I am the type of person that does not eat that, right? But how about two? I love how the fact that, you also talk about this gives you freedom from the constant mental negotiation, right? How often are we negotiating with ourselves? Well, if I have just one, then I could do it. And to me, if that negotiation even gets started, right, I've lost. I'm going to lose.
Yeah. And you've
I'm
lost
absolutely going to lose.
Yeah, because it's all that internal dialogue. And so, I choose to eat in a way that serves me. I feel, and this is sometimes I'm talking to myself saying this, right? I'm going to eat that. And then if I eat that thing, the moment it gets past the uvula, you know what that is. That's everybody. If you don't know the uvula, it's that punching bag thing in the back.
It's that little thing hanging back there.
That little thing hanging back there, and that I have it in my mouth. And this was a literal thing I used to do. It's going to be in my mouth for maybe 15, 30 seconds. It's going to taste amazing. And soon as it slides back, I'm going to start beating myself up and feeling bad about myself. And who the heck needs it? And then I'm going to get a headache because you know what? Sugar gives me headaches. So
there it is.
So there it is. So yeah. And so it's this little bit of talking to ourselves, but the more you do this, I'm honoring my commitment to myself right now. I'm choosing right now how I want to feel tomorrow. And even if you don't physically feel bad tomorrow, when you've overeaten and you haven't honored commitment to yourself, how do you feel? You have regret. I don't want regret.
Right. It's the shame, the guilt, and the regret.
Yeah, it's like that little shame spiral, right?
Yeah.
So,
Well, so answer me this, and let's bring this plane. Let's look at our destination here and bring this plane in for a landing. What happens though if I've set the line, I've set my rule, I go into the situation and I cave because I can't get past Aunt Sally saying, "Oh, come on, I made these for you," and I do it, and I have one,
okay,
which leads to maybe 2 or 3,
okay,
right? And I do wake up the next day going, "Oh,
okay. Oh
I
my
blew
gosh,
it." So
this is
since
okay.
I blew it, I'm just going to blow it again today.
Yeah. So this is really the number one thing that people who are trying to make a lifestyle change need to absolutely get down. There's 2 things. Number one is give yourself credit for anything that you did right in the process. First, okay, so maybe who was it? Aunt Sally, did you say?
Yeah.
Or Mary or whatever. All right. I resisted for a little while and then I only had 2. I could have had 5, right? So good job. At least I stopped, right? Number 2 is do not beat yourself up. Oh, I screwed it up. Like the language I want you to have, if we go back to the anchor point analogy again, is you drifted on your anchor a little bit, right?
Okay. I love that.
I just drifted. Recognize it. Get curious about it. Why did that happen? What could I have done differently? Once you realize that, boom, move on. And then the next thing is, and this is the biggest thought that messes people up, is that when you have the thought, well, I've screwed it up, I might as well just keep on eating until Monday or next week or next year or after the holidays.
Right. Yep.
Right?
Yep.
We all do that. And you have the opportunity to get back on track the very next meal. And this is the way I want everyone to think about this. It's if I'm driving down the street and I run a stop sign, I made a mistake, right?
Right.
Do I ever say in that scenario, well, I ran that stop sign, so I'm just going to keep running them today and I'll get back on track tomorrow or next week. You're not going to do that, right?
I love that. No, I absolutely love that.
Yes,
Go
that
ahead.
is, so make sure you catch yourself thinking that because you're going to think it. You might make a mistake and you're going to say, oh, I've blown it, so I'm just going to eat everything and start again tomorrow. No.
Yeah.
I ate that. New moment. I can still win the day. Next meal, I'm going to have this. Period. And then you let it go and move on.
I love that. Right? Because again, I ran a stop sign. Okay. Next one I'm going to be sure.
I'm stopping way in advance.
I love that. No, that's such a great way to put that. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I think that, I think that is the biggest thing there.
Talk to me about building trust with yourself.
Yeah.
If I blow through the stop sign, how do I trust myself that I'm going to stop?
Yeah.
Or how do I build trust for the next event to say,
every time. Okay. So here's the big thing. I always talk to my clients about, I was bad. They come in.
Oh,
I was bad. I'm like, did you hurt somebody? Did you trip somebody? No, that's bad. You ate popcorn. That's a mistake, right?
Yeah.
So the big thing here is compassion for yourself, right? You would never, I don't let people come and say that. And we really work on, well, what was good about what you did? You didn't eat the whole bag, right? And so the more we do that, we show ourselves compassion. And the more we do what we say we're going to do, the more we trust ourselves.
There it is.
Right? We have to honor our commitments to ourselves, having compassion when it didn't work, get curious, figure out what happened, and get right back on track the next meal. And I promise you, John, that those of you that are listening, you're going to hear yourself go, well, I've already blown it, might as well have. the next time you think that, you're going to go, oh, that's that thought they were talking about. And
Yeah.
you're going to stop yourself. I mean, just knowing that thought, you will stop yourself the next time because you're not going to want to run stop signs.
Yeah. 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 No, I absolutely love that.
So,
Awesome. All right.
so I think where we are with this is, like thinking about doing these things. We talked about making that identity shift from I'm on a diet to this is how I eat,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yep.
And, so instead of saying I'm trying to be good, you're saying this is how I eat. Instead of I'm on a diet, these are my rules for eating.
Mm-hmm.
I can't have that. It says, I don't eat that. And, I'm being so good today. Again, we've
Yeah.
got to
Good and
stop
bad.
that. No. All right. You are either following your plan or you're not following your plan. Right. Doesn't that feel better when someone comes in and said, I didn't follow my plan? Great. All right. What happened? Let's figure it out. What could you do differently the next time? All right, let's go. What's coming up next? Right. And
Mm-hmm.
make a
Mm-hmm.
plan for the next thing.
Yeah. 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 I love that. Again, the first set implies it's temporary, that you're depriving yourself, et cetera, et cetera. And the other mindset is this is my identity. It's a choice that I'm making for myself and not for anyone else. And it's empowering.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. And, I think that kind of for the holidays, I think one thing we need to talk about is, my daughter says this to me a lot, but we're on vacation. Come on, mom. She really just wants me to eat with her sometimes. I don't really get it because I never, I'm like, really, it doesn't matter. Like, so, there's that argument, life is too short.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And so, does that mean life is too short, so I might as well eat everything I can? Or is it life is too short, so I'm going to make the decisions that serve me best?
Oh, there it is.
Right?
Right.
Life is
That's
short. And, like that, back to that thing, it's not on my deathbed. There's two things I know I'm not going to be saying. Number one, I know I'm not going to be saying, boy, I wish I worked more. And number two is, I wish I had chocolate chip cookies. Right?
right.
It's just not. Those are not the things. And so we've just got to let go.
100%. I love. Can you say that again? Can you say life is too short? Eat the cake.
Yeah.
Or you're right. Life is too short.
Life is too short. I'm going to make the decisions that serve me best.
Wow.
Yeah. Right.
I think we're going to let you drop the mic on that. I think that is a powerful quotation, right? A great final thought.
Yes.
As we've gone through this.
Absolutely. And make a plan. Get with your person, your people, and go.
Yep. Absolutely. Yep. We're doing that in our clinic, and we try to do a November plan, a December plan that's going to get us past New Year's. And then there's always that New Year's reset.
And I mean, how great will it be just going into January this year, just neutral, just, and maybe you decide only 3 pounds to lose, 5 pounds to lose.
Right.
The whole.
Well, and that's the thing, right? And I always teach people, right? A reset is a couple of weeks. A reset is, I'm a little bit toxic. I'm a little fluffy. I just want to kind of get back to feeling great and get the fluff off. And it's 2 to 3 weeks, right?
Yeah.
But a redo, a restart is, oh man, here I am again, 15 pounds up, 20 pounds up, or what have you. And I've got to restart. Right.
Yeah.
So how nice would it be instead of restarting to just resetting this year?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm in.
Excellent.
I'm in.
All right. Well, Z, thank you so much for coming back on the show. Like I said, it is so great to have you in the virtual halls of Ideal Protein again, so to speak.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. It's so
I love the fact that we get to do, sometimes we get to do events together. Looking forward to the next one. I know you're doing some great stuff out there.
Yeah.
So thanks for coming on the show. Hang out backstage. We can talk
Okay.
afterwards, but let me wrap this thing up.
Bye, everybody.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Dolores Zumbado. I hope that there were some really great practical things that you can come away with from that show. What we're really looking for is a different way of thinking about the holidays. You don't have to adopt all of the strategies, but pick one or two of those, what she called bright lines, one or two of those lines that resonate with you, that you can use as tools to get yourself through these holidays. Practice your responses to your social pressures. Identify those characters in your life who are going to be the ones that are going to stick it to you the most, and really connect with that. Why am I eating healthy? Why am I losing weight? Why am I trying to maintain a healthy lifestyle? Why am I adopting this life myself or this identity? And give yourself grace as you're figuring out. This is the first time we're going to put this into play over these holidays. But again, if you shoot for the moon, you're going to hit the stars. So do your best, and I'm sure you're going to come out better than you thought you would. So as always, thank you for watching and listening to the show, and stay tuned because I've really got some great guests in the queue. We're going to have some fun with this thing. And as always, keep striving, keep thriving, and keep looking for your life possible.
That's a wrap for this episode of the Life Possible podcast, where we unlock the power of metabolic health to fuel your best life. If you found value in today's conversation, don't forget to like, subscribe, and download the podcast so you never miss an episode. And if this message resonated with you, share it to someone who needs to hear it. Let's spread the power of life possible together. For more inspiration, insights, and exclusive content, be sure to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. Thanks for tuning in. Keep striving, keep thriving, and remember, your best life is within reach.